I'm Ursula and welcome to Urs Gets Fit. I get a lot of questions about my tummy tuck, and one of the biggest questions that I get is about cost. So today I'm going to share with you the true cost of my tummy tuck procedure. Now this not only includes the cost of the procedure itself, but also anything that I had to pay for pre-op as well as for post-op recovery. I am also going to talk about how much time it took me to pursue this endeavor, and then I'm going to also break down for you the cost of the procedure itself. So I'll give you the total cost of the actual procedure, then we'll look at it line by line to see where the costs were allocated. Now, a bit of a disclaimer before we get right into the cost. What I'll tell you is that cost really depends upon a variety of factors. I chose to stay local. I wanted to recover at home, so I didn't have any costs associated with traveling. I didn't have any costs associated with recovery houses and post-op nurses. I traveled to a local surgeon. I came home the same day. I recovered at home. My husband was my full-time caregiver for the first 3 days. So I didn't have some of the costs associated with traveling to have my procedure. Cost, of course, also depends upon the surgeon that you select, the surgical group, the location that you have it in, and the exact procedures that you have done. So keep all of those things in mind as we kind of go through these costs. Now, I'm in the DC area, and so I knew that I was going to pay a premium for the location that I was in. Not only that, I selected a very reputable, board-certified plastic surgeon who's part of a surgical group who has been in business for many years. Very highly respected surgical group with very highly respected surgeons. And so again, I knew all of this would play a part in my costs. All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is time cost, because if you're like me, you work for an employer, and so you actually have to take time off of work if you're gonna have this procedure. So let's talk about the time that it took me to actually have this procedure. Now, I did say that I stayed local for my procedure. My surgeon is about 35 miles away from me, but with traffic, that's about an hour and 20-minute drive here. And so every time I went to see my plastic surgeon, I would usually take off half a day of work simply because I needed about an hour and 20 to get there, time to have the appointment, and about an hour and 20 to get back. And so I was taking off 4 hours every time I saw my plastic surgeon. So I had 2 consultations. The first one was in early January. The second one was in late February. And I had to take off 4 hours of work each time. At the second consultation, I did decide to go through with the procedure and I placed my deposit. So the next thing I had to do was have a physical exam and some lab work. Now, I had my physical exam done by my primary care physician, and then they were able to do the lab work right there in the office as well. And so that appointment with my primary care physician plus that lab work cost me 3 hours of leave at work. So my next appointment was my pre-op appointment, and this appointment was about a month out from my surgery, and this was with my plastic surgeon. So again, another 4 hours that I took off work in order to go to this appointment. And at this appointment, I was given prescriptions for my post-op medication. So during that time, I was able to go to the appointment, meet with my plastic surgeon, as well as travel back home and then pick up my prescriptions. I had my surgery on a Tuesday, and the following Monday was a holiday. So I ended up taking 13 total days off work, which was 104 hours, and I had a total of 20 consecutive days of recovery. During that time, I went to see my plastic surgeon twice. I had an appointment at 1 week post-op and an appointment at 2 week post-op. After my initial recovery period was up and I went back to work after 20 total days of recovery, my next appointment was at 4 weeks post-op with my plastic surgeon. It cost me another 4 hours of leave. And then my next appointment with him was at 3 months post-op. Again, cost me another 4 hours of leave. So thus far, I've spent a total of 131 work hours between the pre-op appointments the recovery period, and the post-op appointments, for a total of almost 16 and a half work days. Now, I was fortunate enough to have the sick leave accrued, so I've just been using sick leave for my appointments and my recovery. A lot of people will ask about FMLA, and FMLA typically doesn't cover cosmetic surgeries unless there is a period of hospitalization or there are complications that are related to the actual surgery. So no, I did not pursue FMLA. I just simply told my supervisor I was having surgery, I would be out for 3 weeks, and that I had my job duties covered. And I had my surgeon that wrote a note that just simply said the same, that I was having surgery and I would need 3 weeks off. All right, so now that we've talked about the time, let's talk about the money. One of the questions I get is whether or not insurance paid for my procedure, and the answer is no. My procedure wasn't medically necessary. I wasn't having any sores or any other medical complications related to the loose skin around my abdomen. I was just simply having some functional limitations when it comes to my workouts, and I just really didn't feel that that was enough to pursue insurance to try to get them to cover part of the procedure. Now, typically what happens is that if you can prove that it's medically necessary and your insurance covers it, they will cover the cost to have the lower apron removed only. That is not a true tummy tuck. And so typically people who just have the lower apron removed are not very happy with that procedure because they don't get the muscle repair, they don't get the upper abdomen addressed, and so their tummy isn't flat the way they think that it'll be after that insurance procedure is complete. Now, some people will pay the difference. So if insurance is going to pay for part of it to have the lower apron removed, some people will pay the difference to get the full tummy tuck, and then that ensures that they get the muscle repair and their upper abdomen addressed. I just didn't feel that I could prove that this procedure was medically necessary. I just wasn't really having any medical complications as it related to the skin, and I just really wasn't willing to go through the effort to try to jump through insurance hoops to get them to pay for it. I was in a financial position to be able to pay for it out of pocket, to get the procedure that I wanted, to get the surgeon that I wanted, to get the results that I wanted, and that's just what I did. All right, so let's get right to the cost. I did have my first consultation with my plastic surgeon in January. It did not cost me anything. There was no fee, anything related to my first consultation. I had a second consultation with my plastic surgeon in late February because I was not convinced after the first consultation that I really wanted to go through with the procedure. Now, I was convinced that he was probably going to be my plastic surgeon, but I wasn't convinced that I really wanted to have the procedure. But in February, late February, I decided to call him again, go back in and talk to him again and really make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to have this procedure. The second consultation was absolutely free. I didn't pay anything for the second consultation either. Now, what I did pay at the second consultation was the $1,000 deposit towards my procedure. So I had to pay $1,000 towards the procedure just in order to book my date. And so after that second consultation was over, I went into the room with the patient coordinator and I paid $1,000 towards my procedure, and that locked in my surgery date. Now, the next appointment that I had to have was a physical exam with lab work, and I did that through my primary care physician. The total cost of that was $67, and that included the copay for the physician appointment as well as the copay for the labs. My pre-op appointment was about 1 month before my surgery date, and at the pre-op appointment, you pay your balance in full. So at the pre-op appointment, I paid $11,559. That was the balance due on my procedure, so that is what I paid that day. When I left my pre-op appointment, I went to the pharmacy and picked up my post-op medication. That post-op medication cost me $47 in copays, and that medication included an antibiotic, a blood thinner, an anti-nausea medication, as well as the painkiller. Now, all of the things that I'm about to talk about that I purchased for pre-op and post-op recovery, I got them off of Amazon. So if you click on the video description, there will be a link to my Amazon store where I have put them together in one list conveniently just for you so that you will see exactly what it is that I purchased. So if any of these products interest you, just go to the video description, click on the link, it's all right there. There were two things that my plastic surgeon required pre-op. One of those things was an antibacterial cleanse that I had to actually wash in the night before surgery and the morning of surgery, as well as some arnica tablets that I had to start taking 3 days prior to surgery. Now, another thing that I did purchase and use pre-op that I didn't ask my surgeon about, it wasn't part of his protocol. I probably should have asked before I did this, but I didn't, is I purchased some Juven wound care mix. Now, this is a wound care drink. It is high in protein. They use it in hospitals for wound patients. But I really wanted to ensure that my incision would heal and it would heal fast and I wouldn't have any complications related to my incision. So I purchased 2 boxes of this Juven wound mix and I started drinking it 2 weeks pre-op. I would drink 1 packet a day, every day for the 2 weeks before surgery. And then after surgery, I was drinking 2 packs a day until it was gone. I purchased 2 boxes. That was a total of 60 packets. I used Mago 7 plus Miralax for bowel movements. Now, initially I was just taking Miralax, which is a stool softener, but what I found was that that was not producing a bowel movement. I needed something that would produce a bowel movement. So I took some Mago 7, which produced the bowel movement, and then I continued to take the Miralax, which helped me to continue to have bowel movements after surgery. Another thing I purchased was a lanyard to hold my drain. Now, this really came in handy. I had one drain protruding out of my hip, and this lanyard really came in handy when I was showering. Showering. 3 came in a box, and so as I got them wet, I was able to let them dry and rotate them out. One of the things that I was really glad that I purchased was the wedge pillow set. Now, I really wanted a lift recliner, and for whatever reason, I just could not make that work. And so I ended up just buying a wedge pillow set, and I was very happy that I ended up with the wedge pillow set versus a recliner. I could move the wedge pillow set around. I started in our loft on our sectional. I moved it to our bed. I moved it back to the couch when I started working from home. And so it really came in handy. I was able to move it around and I wasn't stuck in one place in a recliner for 6 weeks. So I was very happy that I ended up with this wedge pillow set. It did the job perfectly. I was very happy with it. I purchased a little table basket to put all of my essentials in, all of my medication, all of these other things that I'm talking about that I purchased simply because I wanted them within arm's reach. And so I purchased this little basket. It was $19 on Amazon, and I set it beside me on the table in the loft. And so I just really had all of the things that I needed right in arm's reach, and I organized it with this basket. I purchased some arnica tea and started drinking that first once a day and then twice a day because I read somewhere that it helped with swelling. I really had some swelling in my thighs that I was not expecting. And so I started drinking this arnica tea, and it really did help with the swelling in my thighs. It also helped a little with the swelling in my abdomen. It made that hardness go away. Now, it was still firm in my abdomen after I started drinking this arnica tea, but it wasn't as hard as it had been before. I was very glad that I read up on it and discovered arnica tea helps for that because it absolutely helped with my thighs, and then it helped some with the swelling in my abdomen as well. I did purchase some extra strength Tylenol and started taking this. To be quite honest, by day 4, I was over the narcotic painkiller, and so I just stopped taking it cold turkey. And I started taking the extra strength Tylenol. I took the extra strength Tylenol on the first day. I took 3 doses. On the next 2 days, I took 2 doses. The day after that, I took 1 dose, and then I was done with the extra strength Tylenol as well. Unlike the second day post-op, I started to itch, and it was driving me insane. And so my husband got the bright idea to give me a Claritin. So I took a Claritin on that day and the day after that for the itching, and it did subside a little bit, just a little bit. The day of surgery, they wanted you to dress in something that you could easily get out of, and then they could put you back in. And so I purchased a pajama set off of Amazon. It was a simple button-down pajama set. It was very comfortable, and I continued to wear it throughout my recovery period. Another thing that helped with the swelling in my thighs was some below the knee compression pants. Now, I actually got this recommendation from my plastic surgeon And so I went to Amazon and I found a great pair of below the knee compression pants. It really helped with the swelling in my thighs, that plus drinking the arnica tea. Click on the video description and it'll have the link to my Amazon store and all of these products. Another thing that I purchased was a lap desk. So after my 3 weeks off work, I ended up going back to work, but I was working from home for the next few weeks. And so I purchased a lap desk so that I could sit on the couch and I could work from my computer on the couch. I will tell you that sitting at my actual desk, trying to sit upright in that 4th week, I would swell and swell so bad. So I ended up having to work from the couch, sitting in my wedge pillow set, and then I used the lap desk to hold my laptop and my mouse and other things that I needed to have handy for work. And finally, I purchased some compression underwear. Now, at my 4-week post-op appointment, my plastic surgeon told me that I could ditch my faja at the 6-week mark, and then I could just go into some regular compression type underwear. And so I went to Amazon and I found a pair that I liked, and I just bought 7 pair of them. I wear them around the clock. The only time I don't wear them is when I exercise. I don't wear any extra compression when I exercise, but other than that, I wear them during the day. I wear them to bed. They're very comfortable. So all of those items for post-recovery came to a total of $475, making the grand total of everything that I needed for this procedure, cost of the procedure, as well as pre-op and post-op recovery, $13,329. So let's talk about the procedure itself and the breakdown of the cost. So I had a tummy tuck with a muscle repair. This procedure was $12,559, and here's the breakdown. The surgeon's fee was $7,800. The operating room was $2,292. The anesthesia was $1,940. Supplies and equipment was $400. Now, this was the Exparel shot. They told me that the Exparel shot was included and they give it to you at cost. They told me about $400. So this is the line for the Exparel shot. The Exparel shot, in my opinion, was well worth it for a practically pain-free recovery. So it cost a total of $400. And then I went home in a faja. That faja cost $127. So grand total for the actual procedure itself was $12,559. Now again, keep in mind, costs may vary depending on what surgeon you use, surgical group, what their protocols are, what location that you're in, things like that, whether or not you travel, whether or not you're going to recover at home or you're going to a recovery house, who's going to be your primary caregiver after surgery. All of those things come at a cost. And I think sometimes people only really look at the cost of the procedure itself, but it does cost more than that. It takes time. It takes more money for other things beyond just what happens on surgery day. All right, so I hope this information has been helpful to you. If it has, please take a moment, give the video a thumbs up. It would help me out so very much. And if you haven't subscribed to the community yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, because I would love to have you here as part of our community where I can continue to make more great content just like this, just for you. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next video.